What if I told you a woman and a shoe have more in common than you thought? This is my shoe. It is an object. An object exists to do something for me. To paraphrase sex educator Lacey Green, I, Shay, the shoe wearer, am the subject acts while an object is acted upon. Unfortunately, humans have been objectified. Sexual objectification is the viewing of people solely as depersonalized objects of desire instead of as individuals with complex personalities and desires or plans of their own. Both men and women objectify. When presented with the image of women, both men and women's brains activate the region known for the perception of usable tools. We take in the parts instead of the whole. But when we look at men, we use global processing to see them more fully as people. But women are sexy. I mean, look around. Look around. We're gorgeous. But the problem isn't being attracted to somebody. That's completely normal. The problem is the constant portrayal of women as sex objects. Sexual objectification is everywhere. It's body parts selling everything. Cologne, beer, jeans, jewelry, and food. It's girls being sent home from school for wearing shorts and tank tops, because how can the boys learn with so much distraction? It's women being used as decoration in the music industry. It's men's clothing ads versus women's clothing ads. It's Halloween costumes. 96% of sexual objectification in imagery is of women. That's why this one looks normal, and this one looks bizarre. It's a power play which is a small part of a larger problem. The far more scary issue, sexual assault, is generally not about sex, but rather about a physical and emotional demonstration of power. So why do we just accept it as just a part of being a woman? Well, things like those ads have taught many to be submissive and sexually passive. We were raised adoring Disney princesses. Every little girl from 1937 to 2015 knows Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, movies in which a Prince Charming kisses a sleeping girl to save her. But she is incapable of consenting to a kiss, and this is never presented as an issue. Rather, it saves her. Men are also force-fed toxic imagery. Grow some balls. Bros before hoes. Man up. Their media is all about a consolidation of power. Dr. Joseph Marshall says that if you're told from day one, don't let anyone disrespect you, and that this is how you handle it as a man, respect is linked to violence. As a teenage girl, I know what this looks and feels like. The women in the audience know what this looks and feels like. Ask any woman in your life. We have all faced some sort of harassment. I was registering voters at a farmer's market, and a middle-aged man reached out his hand to shake mine. I returned the gesture, but instead of a friendly shake, I felt the pressure of him lifting up my hand to kiss it. I pressed down, still holding his hand, but clearly uncomfortable and unconsenting. I was so creeped out, I had to leave my workstation and find a bathroom and wash my hands to rid the dirty feeling of the presumption that I was passive, I was submissive, and the dominance and possessiveness a stranger felt over me. My good friend Katie is harassed and hears catcalls on a daily basis. It has gotten to the point where she feels she cannot leave her house without wearing an oversized sweater so she doesn't have the jabbing feeling of anger and vulnerability. She told me, I can't dress to feel good about myself. It's a daily reminder that I am not safe. One time, my mom drove me home, and at a stoplight with my window open, a man in his 40s came up to my window and leans on the door of my car. I can smell his drunken breath when he says to me, "Hi, I just wanted to let you know you're sexy. As we were driving away, my mom screamed and cursed. This is why we lock the doors. This is why she always bugs me about being completely aware of my surroundings. This is what she had always warned me about. But sometimes the media and catcalling turn into violence. Annie Rose Strass and Tara Culp Ressler write that stories about the Steubenville rape case of 16-year-old Jane Doe focused on the public details about the defendants, 17-year-old Trent Mays and 16-year-old Malik Richmond, to set up a sympathetic portrayal of two bright young football stars whose lives had been ruined by the criminal justice system. The coverage emphasized the victim's intoxication instead of the criminal acts against her. As Maureen Shaw so smartly puts it, too often, voluntarily intoxicated victims are likely to be viewed with skepticism for putting themselves in danger. This ultimately results in experts claiming that women should be partly blamed for their own assaults. As she listens to the Steubenville testimony, Katie Hanna, a sexual assault educator, says she can't help but think one thing. These kids weren't clear what rape is. That's because the burden of education about sexual assault often falls on women to tell other women. And ultimately, the isolation means people are scared and alienated. The Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network reports that out of every 100 rapes, 32 will be reported, 7 rapists will be arrested, 2 will lead to felony convictions, and 2 out of every 100 rapists will spend a single day in jail. And our culture perpetuates a feeling of entitlement, pressure, and violence that reinforces people's faith in the existing power structures. But what if our rape culture never ended, and the cycle of fear from the legacy of rape culture spiraled out of control? I can't see the future of an alternate universe, and I don't have all the answers. But I know that if the cycle of fear happened now grew into anything more, the consequences would be traumatic. Oh wait, those consequences have already happened. Elliot Rodger posted 22 public YouTube videos lamenting that he was a 22-year-old virgin and that the women at his college didn't find him attractive. He didn't understand why girls involved themselves with other men and said that he had to rot in loneliness. He plainly stated he would punish those girls to prove he was the superior one. So he did. Near the campus of the University of California, Santa Barbara, on Friday, May 23, 2014, he killed 6 people, wounded 13 others, and then killed himself. As my feminist icon Lacey Green states, the media falsely portrayed Elliot as a madman and a psychopath who only did what he did because he was mentally ill. And yes, Rodger was a bit mentally ill. He refused to take psychoactive medication, but that does not negate the fact that misogyny was the leading motive for his actions. He plainly said, "If only one girl had shown some form of attraction to me, the day of retribution would never happen. I'd never even consider it." Elliot is the prime result of rape culture. Entitlement mixed with misogyny and the pressure of masculinity to prove he was the true alpha male. Add a gun, and people die. You end rape culture. Journalist Sarah Alkin notes that there are 2 ways to end this. Remember the statistic that only 2% of rapists will spend a single day in jail? Rapists know that they can get away with their crime. The criminal justice system encourages and perpetuates rape culture. I challenge you to email your senators and tell them why you care. Maybe you have heard of this before, and maybe you haven't, but now you have, and you can do something about it. You can tell other people, and if at first they don't listen, be patient. Change will come slowly, but it will come sure enough. I have one more story for you. A couple of weeks ago, I got on the bus, and a man started talking to me, and at first I was afraid, but then I just decided to let it go and talk. After a while of chatting, I learned that he had been a school principal and his wife a teacher. His daughter was applying to school, and he was so proud of her. I told him I was auditioning for my school's upcoming musical. After a while of chatting, I saw some seats open up on the other side of the bus, and I decided to say goodbye. We exchanged our nice meeting yous, and he patted me on the shoulder. And when he patted me on the shoulder, I distinctly remember feeling surprised that that pat had not creeped me out. Instead, I felt it was a welcome result of our newfound camaraderie. This is the perfect example of what the interaction between men and women can be. I am so over feeling surprised when men are nice to me. This fear that I have felt and so many others has felt has gone on far too long. I am aware of the power I have within myself. Whatever strength and courage that's there is growing in certainty and spirit. And as mine has grown, others has too. I don't know if you've seen any Disney movies lately, but those princesses aren't being rescued. They're rescuing themselves. Dear women, old, young, poor, rich, confident, afraid, bold, and humble. There is a flame within you. Those first few matches you throw on the fireplace is the feeling you have right now. And that feeling is so important. Sometimes you may not think it's there, but it still is. And neither history, yourself, or anyone else can diminish it. There's a flame, and the fire is starting within you. And the rest of the world is too. Thank you.